တယောက်လောက်ပဲနေပြီးတော့ဘာလို့မိတ်ဆက်ပြီးမိတ်ဆက်ပြီးလက်ထောင်ပေးပါလို့နော်အားလုံးပြောပေးမိတ်ဆက်ပြီးလက်ထောင်ပေးပါလို့ရောက်တဲ့နေရာအားလုံးပြောပေး
So, I'm going to read some of this. I'm going to read some of this anyway because people don't read the Bible.
It's a good idea.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's saying five. How long, Kuntam?
5 minutes. He said 5 minutes.
5? 5?
He will say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Gwen Robinson, past president of the Foreign Correspondents Club, director, and as we all know, we're here tonight to hear the remarkable story of Mizzima and Soe Myint. So I just wanted to give a little introduction to, basically, we're launching his book tonight, which he co-wrote with an outstanding human rights lawyer in India, Nandita Haksa, and Soe Myint together, wrote this book, Resisting Military Rule in Burma, 1988 to 2024. And we called it Revolution and Tea Leaf Salad, the story of Mizzima Media, because it just seems so appropriate, and the tea leaf salad that I hope you'll all try tonight is complimentary. Mizzima is offering it, and this event is free and open, but donations are very gratefully received. So I think we have a donation box up at the counter, or I'll make sure there is by the end of the evening if you want to just contribute a bit. Mizzima is a very worthy cause, and it's really one of the leading independent Myanmar media organisations. As you all know, I'm going to just read out, because not everyone reads the blurb. So just to remind you, in 1990, Myanmar dissident Soe Myint and another student hijacked a Thai Airways flight to Yangon, forcing the plane to divert to Kolkata to highlight their demands for an end to military rule in Burma. Thus began a very long saga, including a court case and more than 2 decades of exile, during which these dissidents set up independent media house Mizzima in 1998. Today, you know, people don't realise it often, but Mizzima has more than 80 journalists and support staff working inside and outside Myanmar on TV and radio broadcasts and text in Burmese and English, Thai and Chinese. With scant budgets, they still manage to beam satellite and online TV and information services from jungle broadcasting stations and clandestine offices, as well as their exile offices in Thailand and India. Like nearly all Burmese independent media, Mizzima Media was hard hit, first by the fallout from Myanmar's February 1, 2021 military coup, which saw Mizzima's headquarters in Yangon raided and closed key staff arrested, a couple of them tortured, including co-founder Aung, and Soe Myint and his team were forced to flee Yangon. So, having painstakingly rebuilt their operations in exile and in parts of the country beyond the junta's reach, Mizzima has slowly regained momentum, only to be struck by a fresh blow which hit Burmese media in late 2024 as the US government and other key donors slashed funding to Myanmar media. As you probably all know if you're here tonight, the situation could be more or less life and death for some of the free independent media. Anyway, on this very rare benefit evening at the FCCT, Mizzima Media would like to thank its friends for their support and invite all to the club for discussion and snacks. And I think Soe Myint is going to introduce his team and show some very interesting videos, after which I'm going to read. Actually, maybe I'll read it now. Yeah. I'd just like to. There is a wonderful bit of, it's the first part of the book, but I don't think many of you have read the book yet, so I wanted to just give a little taste of this book, which is Military Rule in Burma, 1962 to 2021. And it starts, this won't be long, it starts, Burma's first constitution in 1947 guaranteed citizens the right to freely express their opinions and convictions. This gave Burma, actually, the reputation for having one of the freest presses in Asia. I think we tend to forget that. It's important to remember that before Burma came under military rule, there was a vibrant tradition of debates and literature, and at the time of independence, Burma had some 40 newspapers. But following the military coup in 1962, press freedom vanished in Burma, and Burmese journalists came under increased scrutiny. Many were thrown into prison, newspapers were nationalised, and foreign news agencies were told to pack their bags. By the 1970s, only 6 newspapers remained, and all of them were controlled by the government. Burma had also a strong literary tradition, but during military rule, the censorship rules required that every book cover had the following 3 lines. They had to put it on the cover. 3 main national causes are non-disintegration of the Union, non-disintegration of national solidarity, and continuing maintenance of national sovereignty. In Burma, poets have been an integral part of resistance. During the 49-year military rule, the censoring and 8 resisting military rule in Burma, 1988 to 2024, imprisoning of poets occurred widely. One writer noted that in Myanmar, poetry remains the most censored form of literature. Illustrative of the military's junta's persecution of poets is the life of Tin Mo, one of the leading Burmese literary voices of the 21st century. It was U Tin Mo, 1933 to 2007, who described the decades of army rule as the years we did not see dawn. During the military rule, the people were filled with fear. The atmosphere was all permeating, fear that crept into every part of their lives. Yet the people fought against this fear and found ways to resist, sometimes by arms and sometimes by power of the pen, and later by the use of internet. Aung Day, poet and artist, described the extent of censorship in Burma in the generation after Tin Mo. This is classic, I love this bit. Modernist poets from the generation before us got around the censors with ingenious metaphors. So the censors came up with long lists of prohibited words, including star, red, dawn, sun, even the word she, which could refer to Aung San Suu Kyi. So when we organised a performance art festival in 2008, the censors refused. We've never heard of performance art, they said. So how can we censor it? After some persuasion, 6 censors agreed to visit our studio. This is for the modernist poets, where one by one, our artists pitched them their ideas. One performance involved waving balloons and bursting them. The censors asked, "What colour are the balloons?" "Various colours," we said. "Well, don't use red," they said, "and don't burst them. That's anger, so we don't want it." I wish I had videotaped the entire exchange. It was unreal, says Soe Myint. So this book traces the history of this resistance through the life of one man, Soe Myint, growing up in Burma under military rule, under General Ne Win, who served as Prime Minister from 1958 to 1960 and 62 to 74, and also as President of Burma from 62 to 1981. Soe Myint once dreamt of becoming a diplomat, presenting his country in foreign capitals, but he was compelled by circumstances to become a political activist. He hijacked a plane, as you all know, and landed in India, where he turned to independent journalism. The story of Soe Myint's life journey cannot be understood without understanding the history of military rule in Myanmar. So on that note, I'm going to turn over to you, Soe Myint.
Thank you, Gwen, for this. You have been really a great friend, more than a friend. Not only to me, to Mizzima, but also to many Burmese. And you have done a lot of work for all of us, particularly for the independent media in Myanmar, particularly after coup. So, and also like to thank you for agreeing you to be here with me, with us. Of course, I'd like to thank FCCT for hosting this event and all for allowing us to have this event. Before, I'd like to sort of go to some discussions on the book and the overall situation in Burma, Myanmar. I'd like to mention that I'm here today with some of my Mizzima colleagues and some of colleagues from independent media from Myanmar. I will sort of say the name, and you please stand up and hands put up your hand when I say. So Soe Myint, he is here. He is a managing editor of Mizzima. He has been in journalism for the last more than 25 years, if I'm not wrong, and he works for Mizzima as managing editor. He was also in India from like, if I remember correctly, from like 2000 onwards. There's also a part of about him in the book. You will see when you get a chance to read the book. Then we have Pota, please let me Buddha is a video editor, and he was with me all throughout during the time when I was having cancer. I got the bile cancer during COVID, and he was one of the very sort of a few people who knew about about this, and he looked after me, and he also joined me when we left Yangon immediately after coup. He joined me in the jungle in current state of Myanmar. Then we have Mocho, Soe Myint. Sorry, we have a nickname, so I call it Mocho, but Soe Myint. We lived together in India, New Delhi as refugees those days. He later resettled to US, and now he's working for Voice of America in Washington, D.C. I'm very happy that he could join us. He just arrived, I think this morning from Washington for his sort of a stationing for next 3 months. Thank you for coming and joining. And we have Norsan, lead researcher. He's from Kachin State. He's one of the very remarkable young Mizzima colleagues, very knowledgeable about Burma, Myanmar. Of course, we have different desks, including Myanmar desk, China desk, Russian desk, and he's quite knowledgeable on these issues. And we have Koso Tek Kai, editor from for Mizzima Burmese addiction. Like these people, like Koso Tek, they work from from early morning to late night. I mean, they rarely have rest. That's how they work, and I'm very happy to have it. And we have Nono Lin, a deputy director, one of the young leaders of Mizzima, and she was also one of the very sort of the close people with me who knew about all this, particularly my sort of having cancer those days, and they look after me closely. And she also was one of those who joined, who came to the jungle in current state immediately after coup to restart Mizzima from scratch. And we have Wei Minhan. He is head of the broadcast team. He's a professionally broadcast engineer. He and his team broadcast 2 television satellite channels from 6 a.m. to 12 midnight every day. They have 4 people now. They used to have about 6-7 people, but we have to reduce the number of the staff. So 4 people running for 2 television satellite channels from 6 a.m. to 12 midnight without any stop or break in between, in terms, of course, in rotation. And he was also in the jungle when we restarted a television channel those days immediately after coup. And I think there was one more. Jessica, yeah, I remember. She's also again one of the very few very young, smart, educated young people. Jessica, she is a content coordinator, and they create fantastic content, and they are their future. Not only for Mizzima, I'm sure for the independent media and independent media industry in Myanmar. I think I missed out Ko Khama Win. Oh, Yayin too? Yeah, sorry. You will see with his camera, he's a video camera, video editor, and cameraman. In fact, in Mizzima, most of the people in Mizzima are young people. People like me, who is now I'm 58, 59, we have minorities. We are 2-3 people. The rest are basically they are 20 plus 30, and that's how Mizzima has been being operated, particularly in the last 4 years. And then we have friend joining from. He just arrived from Oslo. Ko Khama Win, please. Yeah, he's there. And I mean, some of you might be knowing him. He co-founded the DVB, Democratic Voice of Burma, in Oslo. He is one of the legendary veteran journalists from Myanmar, and he is now media development consultant, helping Mizzima and other independent media houses in the country. Did I miss out anything? Or No, thank you. So I would like, so these are the sort of some of the colleagues who are able to join to this event. And before I talk about the book, or we discuss about the book, I like to specifically mention that as Guan has said, that this book is co-authored by a Burmese and Indian. Probably the first time a book on Burma, Myanmar is jointly written between a Burmese and Indian. Indian co-author, Ms. Nandita Hexa, she's a very well-known human rights lawyer, and she, of course, author of several books. And for us, she was one of the guardians, or for those of us who landed in India, who arrived in India in 1988, 89, as refugees. I was a refugee under UNHCR in India. And she basically, apart from taking the Burmese who are in jail in India out, she also looked after these young Burmese refugees, Burmese activists. So she has done a lot of work, a lot of support for taking care. It is not only support, it is a solidarity. It was a solidarity, it was love, it was care. It was like we were a part of the families, bigger families. And that's how we basically grew up and learned, of course, complexities of Indian democracy, complexity of, we learned journalism in India, and plus also about the issue of complexities of, for example, federalism. Unfortunately, she could not travel to this event. And I just shared the live stream. I hope she's watching there. And Nandita Hexa, we really thank, I call her Auntie Nandita, and many of us call her Auntie Nandita. In fact, in India, we have many aunties and uncles. If you look at who actually look after, there are many also who are in Thailand who look after the Burmese in Thailand. Similarly, there are many aunties and uncles who look after the young Burmese those days. And we are truly grateful for her and for support that they extended to us for more than 35 years. Of course, I like to also mention that this book is published by Akash book. Publisher name is Mr. Saxena. We are very grateful that he agreed to publish. So I will stop here, and maybe we can watch a short video documentaries, maybe 3-4, just to see how the work has been done so far. No?
Yes,
Yeah.
good.
So maybe we can start.
Yeah, Kuntam.
Mizzima TV is now broadcasting its programs from 6 a.m. to 12 midnight daily via satellites. We are now expanding Mizzima's TV programs. Mizzima TV crew had to leave Yangon.
သတင်းဌာနပါဒီနေ့ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီအင်းလေးပြည်သူ့ကာကွယ်တပ်ပေါ်လေဒီ1009တက်ရင် IPD ကနေပြီးတော့ဒီတက်ရင်နှစ်ပြည့်အခမ်းအနားကိုသူတို့ကျင်းပ
သွားတာကအခုလေးကုန်းပေါ်မှာရှိတဲ့ဒီစက်ကောင်ကြီးကြာဆုံးသွားတဲ့တို့ရဲ့ဒီဆယ်တော်ကုန်းပေါ့ဆယ်တော်ကုန်းနေရာကိုသွားတယ်ဒီလမ်းကတော့ဒီရဲဘော်တွေပြောတာတို့ရဲ့သွားရင်ဒီလမ်းကထောက်ဖို့လမ်းပေါ့စကားစားတွေဒီကတော့ထောက်ဖို့လမ်းပေါ့ကျွန်တော်ကဒီကနေစတက်ပြီပေါ့နော်ဟောနည်းနည်းတော့သွားတယ်ကျွန်တော်ဖလူကနေကျွန်တော်ဒီလမ်းခွဲတစ်ခွဲကနေပြန်သွားတာအခု9မိနစ်10မိနစ်လောက်ရှိပြီပေါ့နော်ဟိုကတော့မရောက်သေးဘူးဟိုအပေါ်မှာရောက်ရင်တော့ဘယ်လိုခြေနေလဲဆိုတာဒါကျွန်တော်ဒီစက်ကြည့်ရမှာပေါ့နော်ဒီရတော့ကတော့ဒီကော်ဗလာအခုထုတ်ပြန်ထားတဲ့ဓာတ်ပုံတွေဗီဒီယိုတွေထဲမှာကြည့်တော့ဟိုမှာဘန်ကားတွေလုံးဝဖြည့်ဆည်းနေတယ်တော်တော်များများကိုအမှကြီးမားလူတွေကြီးမားအရာအကုန်လုံးဖြည့်ဆည်းနေတာတွေတော့အမှကျွန်တော်တွေ့ရတယ်ဆိုတော့အခုမှရှေ့ဆက်ပြီးကျွန်တော်ကြည့်ရမှာပေါ့နော်ဘယ်လိုခြေနေရှိတယ်ဆိုတာဟုတ်ကဲ့ကျွန်တော်အခုရောက်ရှိတဲ့နေရာကတော့ကျွန်တော်ဒီမြောက်ဒီမြို့အနားမှာရှိတဲ့လေးခေတ်ကောပေါ့နော်လေးခေတ်ကောဒေတာမှာရှိတယ်ဒီနားမှာအဓိကနောက်ဆုံးကြံခဲ့တဲ့ဒီစစ်ကောင်စီတပ်ရဲ့အထိုင်ဒီချီကုန်းစကန်ပေါ့နော်အမြောက်တက်လို့လည်းခေါ်တဲ့ viewer ကုန်းပေါ့နော်ဒီဆွဲတော်ကုန်းကိုအခုကျွန်တော်ရောက်နေတာဒီဆွဲတော်ကုန်းကတော့ကျွန်တော်ဒီတော်လိုင်းပူပေါင်းဖွဲ့တွေ KNU ဦးဆောင်တဲ့တော်လိုင်းပူပေါင်းဖွဲ့တွေကဒီအောက်တိုဘာ19ရက်နေ့မှာနောက်ဆုံးဒီနေရာကိုရခဲ့တယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒီနေရာကိုရခဲ့တဲ့နေရာကျွန်တော်ဝိုင်းပြီးတော့ပိတ်ဆို့တိုက်ခဲ့တဲ့နေရာမှာစစ်ကောင်စီကလူတွေကအကုန်လုံးထွက်ပြေးသွားလဲပြူအောင်မှုအစထွက်ပြေးသွားပေါ့ဒီစကန်ကုန်းကိုကျွန်တော်ရောက်နေတာ ဒီနောက်မှာဆိုရင်ဒါမြင်နေတဲ့နေရာဆိုဒါဘန်ကားတွေဒါသူတို့ရဲ့ကင်းတွေဒီနေရာကြီးဆိုရင်ဒါဟိုသူတို့ရဲ့အဓိကဘန်ကားတစ်လုံးကြီးလောက်တဲ့နေရာတွေဒီနေရာတွေကဒါဘန်ကားလုံးလောက်တဲ့နေရာတွေဒီနေရာလေးကြည့်ပြီးတော့သူကဒီနေရာလေးထိုင်နိုင်နေရဒါရေးဆိုရင်ဒီခုနကရဲဘော်ပြောတာတော့ဒါစနိုက်ပါနဲ့ပစ်လိုက်တော့ထိသွားတဲ့နေရာလို့ပြောတယ်ဒီထဲမှာကစစ်ကောင်စီကဒီထဲမှာနေတယ်ဒီအပေါက်ကလေးကနောက်ဆုံးဒီအပေါက်တွေတော့မှတော့ဂဲတွေနဲ့ပိတ်ထားတယ်ဒီကတော်လိုင်းပူပေါင်းဖွဲ့တွေကပစ်တဲ့စနိုက်ပါတန်သူတို့မခံနိုင်လို့ဒီညာအကုန်လုံးသူတို့ပိတ်ထားတယ်နောက်ဆုံးသူတို့ကဒီညာမှာဟိုပိတ်မိနေတဲ့ပုံစံမျိုးပေါ့နော်ပိတ်မိနေတဲ့ပုံစံမျိုးဖြစ်နေတယ်ဆိုတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီဘက်ကနေတွားကြည့်မလားသူတို့ဘယ်လိုကြီးလောက်ထားလဲဆိုတာဒါအရင်တော့ရဲဘော်တွေပြောခဲ့ဘူးတယ်ဗျကျွန်တော်သူတို့ဟိုစနိုက်ပါနဲ့ပြစ်လို့ချောင်းပြစ်လို့ဆိုပြီးသူတို့နောက်ဆုံးဒီနေရာတွေကိုမမြင်အောင်ပေါ့နော်သူတို့အမဲကြီးနဲ့ကာထားဆိုဒီနေရာပဲအဲ့သူတို့ကာထားတာပြောရင်တော့သူတို့ကဟိုဘလုံးမကြောက်သွားပြီပေါ့ဗျာကြောက်သွားတဲ့ပုံစံပဲဒီကောင်းလေးဒီစစ်ကောင်စီကဒီနေရာဆိုရင်ဒါသူတို့ကင်းနေရပဲဒါတော့ဘန်ကာကြီးတွေ
မှသူတို့ဘာဖြစ်တယ်ညာဖြစ်တယ်ဆိုရေးထားတဲ့စာရေးထားတယ်မှ
ဒီမှာကျွန်တော်မြင်ရတာဒီမှာ
အမြောက်တက်ဖွဲ့ပေါ့
သူအမြောက်တက်ဖွဲ့ဒီတဲ့အများနဲ့လေ့ကျင့်နေမှာပြစ်မှတ်ကိုထိအောင်ပြစ်နိုင်ပြီတဲ့သူတို့ကတော့အဲ့လိုရေးထားမှာအများလေ့ကျင့်နေတာဘယ်လိုလေ့ကျင့်လဲတော့မသိရွာရီထဲတော့ပြစ်ထည့်တာပဲဘာလို့ဆိုပြီးခဲ့တဲ့အခါကဆိုရင်ကျွန်တော်ဒီဖလူးကစာတင်ကျောင်းမှာကလေးစာတင်နေတဲ့နေရာကိုသူကလက်လက်ကြီးနှလုံးကြတယ်ပေါ့နော်ကံကောင်းလို့ကလေးတွေမထိတာတချို့တန်နေလေးအမျိုးသမီးတယောက်ဒဏ်ရာရပါတယ်လို့သိရတယ်အဲ့တော့ဟိုဒီကနေသူတို့ပြစ်တာဟိုအထက်မှာရေးထားတာကအရှစ်တောင်နဲ့စစ်ဌာနချုပ်သူတိုက်တန်းအောင်စစ်ရေးတဲ့ရှစ်တန်းအမှတ်313ညအမြောက်တက်ရင်တဲ့တိုက်တန်းအောင်စစ်ရေးထားတော့တိုက်တန်းအောင်စစ်ရေးဒါပေမဲ့အခုတော့ကော်ပရာနဲ့ဒီ KNU နဲ့ကော်ပရာဒီပြည်သူ့ကာကွယ်အဖွဲ့တွေနဲ့တွေ့တော့သူတိုက်တန်းတော့မအောင်တော့ဘူးကြောက်ရတော့တွေ့တယ်ဆွဲတော်ကုန်းရသွားတာဟာ၄ကီကိုမျိုးကြီးရဲ့၄ကီကိုဒေတာကလွတ်မြောက်နေပြီဖြစ်သွားပြီဘာလို့ဒီကုန်းတစ်ကုန်းပဲကြံတော့တာဘာလို့ကျွန်တော်ပြီးခဲ့တဲ့ဒီနှစ်ပေါ့နော်မက်လမှာကျွန်တော်ဖလူးရွာမှာရှိတဲ့ဖလူးစကန်ကိုလည်းတော်လိုင်းအဖွဲ့တွေကတိမ့်နိုင်ခဲ့တဲ့ဒါ9မိနစ်စကန်ဆိုပြီးတော့ကျွန်တော်9မိနစ်စကန်ကုန်းဆိုပြီးတော့ကျွန်တော်သတင်းလုပ်ခဲ့ပူးတယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒီနေရာနောက်ပြီးတော့ဟိုဘက်လမ်းမှာရှိတဲ့ကျွန်တော်ရေကန်ကုန်းဆိုတဲ့ဒီနေရာကိုကာကင်းလုပ်ပေးထားတဲ့ရေကန်ကုန်းစကန်ကိုလည်းတော်လိုင်းအဖွဲ့တွေကတိမ့်နိုင်ခဲ့တဲ့အောက်ကစကန်လေးအကုန်တိမ့်နိုင်ခဲ့နောက်ဆုံးဒီကုန်းတစ်ကုန်းပဲကြံတော့တယ်ဒီကုန်းကတော်လိုင်းအဖွဲ့တွေကပူးပေါင်းပြီးတော့သူတို့ပိတ်ဆို့ပြီးတော့နော်ပိတ်ဆို့ထားတာ၄လကျော်အချိန်တွေမှာနောက်ဆုံးသူတို့မခံနိုင်တော့ထွက်ပြေးသွားတယ်ပေါ့နော်ထွက်ပြေးသွားဒီနေရာဒီဆွဲတော်ကုန်းရလိုက်တာဟာ၄ကစ်ကိုရဲ့ဒေတာကလွတ်မြောက်နေပြီဖြစ်တယ်၄ကစ်ကိုလွတ်မြောက်နေပြီဖြစ်သွားတာကကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီလာရှိုးတို့ဒီကျွန်တော်တို့ကြောက်မဲတို့မုံခုတ်တို့လောက်မကြီးမဟုတ်ကြတကယ်တော့၄ကစ်ကိုဆိုတာတိလေးဟိုအိမ်ရိုးပေါ့နော်ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီဟိုတကယ်ဟိုဗျာဟိုစီပွားရေးအချက်ချတဲ့နေရာလည်းမဟုတ်ဘူးဗျာတကယ်ဟိုတယ်ကြီးတွေဘာကြီးရှိတဲ့နေရာလည်းမဟုတ်ဘူးဒီနေရာမှာတကယ်တော့ဘာမှမဟုတ်တောတောင်လေးနဲ့ဒါဒေတာကန်တွေပဲရှိတဲ့နေရာဒါပေမဲ့ဒီ၄ကကိုရသွားတာကတော်လိုင်းအဖွဲ့တွေအားတစ်ခုတမိုင်းတစ်ခုရှိတယ်ဗျာဘာကြောင့်လဲဆိုတော့ကျွန်တော်ကိုယ်တိုင်ဒီ၄ကကိုနားမှာကျွန်တော်နေခဲ့ဘူးတယ်ထွက်ပြေးလာပါတော့စစ်ကောင်စီကကျွန်တော်တို့ဝန်ထမ်းထုတ်ပြီးထွက်ပြေးလာတဲ့အချိန်မှာ၄ကကိုမှာကျွန်တော်နေခဲ့ဘူးတယ်အဲ့ချိန်မှာ2021ဒီဇင်ဘာ14ရက်နေ့မှာစစ်ကောင်စီဘက်ကတို့အင်အားသုံးပြီးစစ်ကြောင်းဝင်လဲ15ရက်နေ့မှာတိုက်ပွဲဖြစ်တယ်ကျွန်တော်ကိုယ်တိုင်အဲ့နားထွက်ပြေးရတယ်ကိုယ်တိုင်ထွက်ပြီးဖလူးစကန်မှာကျွန်တော်နေခဲ့ဘူးတယ်ဖလူးစကန်ဆိုတာအဲ့ဖလူးမှာကျွန်တော်တို့ဟိုပါဗောဒီလက်နက်ကိုင်ဖွဲ့စည်းမှာရှိတယ်ကျွန်တော်အဲ့နေရာမှာကျွန်တော်စစ်ဆောင်နေနဲ့တွားနေခဲ့ရတယ်ဆိုတော့ဒီနေရာမှာကတော်လိုင်းအဖွဲ့အစည်းတွေရဲ့အများဆုံးရှိခဲ့တဲ့၄ကကိုခိုးနားတဲ့နေရာပေါ့နော်အမှ CDN လေးရှိတယ်တက်ကြွလှုပ်ရှားသူတွေရှိတယ်တော်လိုင်းအဖွဲ့အစည်းတွေရှိတယ်အမျိုးစုံပေါ့နော်စကားစဒုက္ခပေးလို့မနေနိုင်ပြီးတော့နောက်ဆုံး9ရက်ကနေထွက်ပြေးလာခဲ့တဲ့လူတွေကအဲ့၄ကကိုမှနေခဲ့တာဒီ၄ကကိုရလိုက်တဲ့ဟာကကျွန်တော်ခုနပြောလို့တခြားမျိုးတွေတိန်းတာတွေတော့ဟိုမတူဘူးဒီဒါတမိုင်းဒီနေရာမှာဟိုတော်လိုင်းအဖွဲ့တွေပြောတော့ဒီတွဲတွေအများကြီးရှိတယ်ဗျဟန်လူဆိုပါအားလုံးကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျ
ကျွန်တော်ထနှောင်းမှာမြစည်းမသတင်းဌာနကသတင်းထောက်ပါမြန်မာပြည်မှာစစ်တပ်ကစစ်အာဏာသိမ်းပြီးတဲ့နောက်ပိုင်း2022ခုနှစ်ကနေစတင်ပြီးတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ကတော်လိုင်းနေမြေတွေမှာသတင်းတင်ဆက်ဖို့အတွက်ကရီနီကရားနေမြေရှမ်းပြည်နယ်တောင်ပိုင်းညောင်ရွှေမြို့နယ်အနီးနေရာတွေကိုရောက်ရှိခဲ့ပြီးတော့မြစည်းမကိုစားပြုပြီးတော့မြေပြင်ကနေတ သတင်းတင်ဆက်မှုတွေလှုပ်ဆောင်ခဲ့ပါတယ်လှုပ်ဆောင်နေစေပါကျွန်တော်တို့ရဲ့မြေပြင်သတင်းတင်ဆက်မှုတွေကြောင့်အာဏာသိမ်းစစ်တပ်ရဲ့သတင်းထိန်ချုပ်မှုနဲ့မြေပြင်မှာအာဏာသိမ်းစစ်တပ်ရဲ့စစ်ရာဇဝတ်ကျူးလွန်မှုတွေကိုတကဘာလုံးကိုတင်ဆက်ပြသနိုင်ခဲ့ပါတယ်အင်တာနက်ထိန်ချုပ်ခံရမှုတွေစေဝါခက်ခဲအစားအသောက်ခက်ခဲနဲ့ဒေတာတွင်းပညာရေးစိတ်ပိုင်းဆိုင်ရာအခက်အခဲတွေပြည်သူနေအိမ်တွေကိုစစ်ကောင်စီကအကြောင်းမဲ့လေကြောင်းကနေဘုံကျဲတိုက်ခိုက်တာတွေကိုလည်းသတင်းတင်ဆက်မှုတွေလှုပ်ဆောင်ခဲ့ပါတယ်လက်ရှိမှာသတင်းစင်းစစ်မှုမပြတ်အောင်ကျွန်တော်တို့အနေနဲ့ကြာရနေရနေတာဝန်ထမ်းဆောင်နေစေဖြစ်ပါတယ်
တူစားခဲ့တဲ့အဲ့လိုမျိုးပေါ့နော်ကျွန်တော်အဲ့လိုမျိုးပြရတယ်အဲ့လိုမျိုးပြရအေးစိတ်ဘာမှမဖြစ်ပြဿနာမရှိဘူးမသေးလို့ရှိရင်ကျွန်တော်ဒါဆက်ပြော
ကျွန်တော်တို့မှာမသေးပဲပြောတဲ့ဟာတာများခေါင်းစဉ်အောက်ကနေပြန်လေကြိုဆိုလိုက်ပါတယ်မသေးပဲပြောတဲ့ဟာတာတွေဆိုတာကတော့ခြေတန်းစစ်မျက်နှာပြင်မှာလက်နဲ့ကြီးတန်တွေလေရင်ပြစ်တန်တွေရဲ့ဂျားတွေကနေမသေးပဲနဲ့မိခင်တရင်ကိုပြန်ရောက်တဲ့အခါမျိုးမှာအချင်းချင်းကိုပြန်လည်ပြောဆိုတဲ့ဟာတာပေါ့လေဒီတစ်ပတ်မှာတော့တိုင်းပြည်ပြည်နိုင်ငံကျော်လူပညာအဖွဲ့တစ်ဖွဲ့ဖြစ်တဲ့ဟာငါကောင်အဖွဲ့ရဲ့ကိုတိုင်းကျော်ကိုမေးပြန်တင်ဆက်ဖို့ရှိနေပါတယ်ဒီတစ်ပတ်မှာတော့ဟာငါကောင်အဖွဲ့ကလူရှင်တော်ကိုတိုင်းကျော်ရဲ့စမိတ်ပြင်မှာကြုံခဲ့ရတဲ့အတွေ့အကြုံတွေလွတ်မြောက်နေမြေတစ်ခုမှာတွေ့ကြုံခဲ့ရတဲ့အခက်အခဲတွေရမုံငွေအငိတ်ကပြီးတော့တော်လိုင်းရေးအတွက်အထောက်အကူပြုပေးနေတာတွေပြုနေစေစတဲ့စိတ်ဝင်စားစရာအကြောင်းအရာတွေကိုရှေ့တန်းစစ်မျက်နှာပြင်နဲ့နှီးဆက်တဲ့နေရာတစ်ခုကနေမင်းများတင်ဆက်သွားပါမယ်အရင်ဆုံးကိုတိုင်းကျော်ရဲ့တော်တွေမှာကြုံခဲ့ရတဲ့တွေ့ကြုံတွေခက်ခဲတွေကိုမင်းများဖို့ရှိနေပါတယ်ကိုတိုင်းကျော်ကြီးမင်္ဂလာပါ
မင်္ဂလာပါ
ဟုတ်အခုကျွန်တော်တို့တင်ဆက်နေတော့မှလည်းလက်နဲ့ကြီးတန်းနေနဲ့ကြားနေရတယ်ဗောလေဟုတ်အဲ့တော့အရင်ဆုံးကိုတိုင်းကျော်ကဒီတော်တဲမှာရှိနေတော့ကလွတ်မြောက်နေပြီတစ်ခုမှာဗောလေအဲ့ဒီမှာစကန်ပြောင်းပြီးတော့ပြေးရတာမျိုးတွေပြီးတော့ဆလေးတောက်ဘူးကအစခဲမှုတွေလည်းကြုံတွေ့ခဲ့ရတယ်လို့ကျွန်တော်ကြားသိရတယ်ဗောလေအဲ့တော့နည်းနည်းမျှဝေပေးပါဦး
ကျွန်တော်တို့စကန်ပြောင်းပြေးရတယ်ဆိုတဲ့အခြေအနေတစ်ခုကပြီးခဲ့ပြီပေါ့နော်ပြီးခဲ့ပြီကျွန်တော်အဲ့ဒီအချိန်တုန်းကကျွန်တော်တို့ PDF ရဲဘော်ညီကိုမောင်နှမတွေလူအားဖြင့်180လောက်ရှိတယ်အယောက်180လောက်ရှိတယ်အဲ့ဒီအယောက်180မှာတနက်3-4လဲပဲရှိတနက်3-4လဲပဲရှိတယ်အဲ့ဒီအချိန်မှာဒီကောင်လေးစစ်ကြောင်းထိုးလာပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဘလို့မှမခုခံနိုင်ဘူးအဲ့တော့ပြောင်းစကန်တီနီယာတွေပြောင်းရွှေ့ရတယ်ပေါ့အဲ့ဒါစကန်ပြောင်းတဲ့တွေ့ကြုံပေါ့နော်ကျွန်တော်တို့ဆက်လက်တောက်ဖို့တော့ခက်ခဲရတယ်ဆိုတာကျွန်တော်တို့အဲ့ဒီအချိန်တုန်းကကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီရွာကြီးမှာပေါ့ကျွန်တော်ခုနားနေတဲ့ရွာမှာကုံစုံဆိုင်အကြီးတစ်ဆိုင်ပဲရှိတယ်အဲ့ဒီမှာရှိတဲ့ရိတ်ခါတွေကိုဒီကောင်းလေးလာလာစစ်ရိတ်ခါတွေကိုလာလာစစ်တယ်လာလာစစ်တဲ့အခါမှာရိတ်ခါရော့သွားပြီဆိုတာနဲ့ဒါ PDF ရဲဘော်တွေဝယ်သွားပြီပေါ့ဝယ်သွားပြီဆိုတဲ့အခါမှာဒီကောင်လေးစစ်ကြောင်းထပ်ထိုးပြန်ဒီနားတစ်ဝိုက်မှာရှိတယ်ပေါ့အဲ့ဒီခါကျတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ဆက်လက်တောက်တာကအစစင်ကျင်ရတယ်ကြောက်လေးတစ်လုံးစားပြီးတော့စင်ကျင်ရတယ်ဘာလို့ဆိုလူကိုတယောက်တည်းဆိုပေမဲ့လူ180ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ကြောက်အလုံး180ကိုတယောက်တည်းဆက်လက်တပူးဆိုရင်လူ180ဆိုဆက်လက်ကို180အဲ့ဒီခါမှာလုံခြုံရေးအရာကျွန်တော်တို့ဆက်လက်ဝယ်ရတာအစကန့်တက်ထားအခုမှပတ်စံရှိတယ်ဝယ်လို့မရ
ဘူးလွတ်မြောက်နေပြီမှာနေခဲ့တော့လည်းရဲဝေနဲ့အတူတူနေခဲ့ရတယ်လို့ခုနကပြောဆိုခဲ့တယ်ဗောလေအဲ့တော့ရဲဝေနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့အမှတ်ရစရာတွေပြောစရာတစ်ခုများရှိမှာ
အများကြီးရှိတယ်ဆိုတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီတော်လိုင်းရေး2နှစ်ကျော်3နှစ်နီးမှာဒီရဲဘော်ညီကူမောင်နှမတွေနဲ့ပဲကျွန်တော်တို့အတူနေခဲ့ရတယ်အတူတူဖြတ်တန်းခဲ့ရတယ်ပျော်စရာတွေရောကျွန်တော်တို့လွမ်းစရာတွေရောငိုစရာတွေရောအများကြီးပဲပေါ့နော်အဲ့တော့အမှတ်တရတွေကအများကြီးဖြစ်မယ်ပျော်အဲ့မှာကျွန်တော်တို့ပျော်စရာဆိုတာကျွန်တော်တို့ဖန်တီးယူရတဲ့ပျော်စရာတွေပေါ့ရဲဘော်တွေဝင်းနေမှာကျွန်တော်တို့အဲ့ဒါထမင်းလုံးလေးလုပ်ပြီးတော့ပြောင်းနိုင်ထွန်းတဲ့ဟာမျိုးနောက်ကျွန်တော်တို့အဲ့ကနေတစ်ဆင့်တော်လိုင်းအရှိန်အဟုန်ပြောင်းလာတဲ့အခါမှာကျွန်တော်တို့မြို့ပေါ်ကနေကိတ်မုတ်တွေပါလို့ရပြီကျွန်တော်မြို့နဲ့နီးတဲ့နေရာတွေကိုကျွန်တော်တို့ခြေချနိုင်တယ်ဆိုတဲ့အခါမှာလည်းကျွန်တော်တို့ကိတ်မုတ်တွေနဲ့အမှတ်တရလုပ်ပေးရတာမျိုးဒါမျိုးပေါ့အဲ့ဒီမှာကျွန်တော်တို့ခွဲပြောရတယ်ဒီကျွန်တော်တို့အခုရိုက်နေတဲ့ program မှာပါလဲမတိပဲပြောတော့ဟာတာများဟာတာပေါ့နော်မတိပဲပြောတော့ဟာတာဒါဒီ program ရဲ့ခေါင်းစဉ်နောက်ကျွန်တော်ချစ်ခင်မြန်လူလေးစားရဲ့အားလုံးလည်းချစ်ခင်မြန်လူလေးစားကြမယ်ဟာတာ တစ်ခေတ်မှာတယောက်ပေါ့နော်ကျွန်တော်ဒီဘက်ခေတ်မှာနောက်ဆုံးပေါ်လာတဲ့ကိုကြည်ပေါ့ကိုကြည်ကျော်ပေါ့သူ့ရဲ့ဆောင်ပုံလေးတစ်ခုရှိတယ်ဒုက္ခဆိုတာနောက်တစ်ချိန်ဖြစ်လာမယ်ဟာတာကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီမှာရှိနေတဲ့ဒေါ်လာရေးထဲမှာရှိတဲ့ဒုက္ခတွေကြတော့မရည်ရတဲ့ဟာတာတွေဖြစ်သွားတယ်ဟာတာတော့ဟာတာပဲမရည်ရတဲ့ဟာတာအခုလိုကျွန်တော်ပြောနေတဲ့အချိန်မှာလက်ကြီးဖြစ်တဲ့ဟာမျိုးပေါ့ဒါပေမဲ့ပြောနေတည်သွားလို့ရှိရင်ဒါဟာတာမဟုတ်တော့ဟိုရင်တော့ကျွန်တော်အားကားကောင်နေရီသွားတယ်ကျွန်တော်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ကားစီးရနှစ်ခါဖြစ်ဘူးလေအဲ့ဒီကားကြီးမြောင်းနေကြသွားတယ်မသိဘူးကျွန်တော်မသိတဲ့အခါမှာကျွန်တော်ရီမောပျော်ရှင်းရှင်းပြောနိုင်တယ်အဲ့ဒီကောင်အဲ့ဒီခုနှစ်တက်ကလေးဘယ်လောက်ကြာသွားကျွန်တော်တို့အဲ့အကြောင်းကိုပြန်ပြောလိုက်ရီမောပြောနိုင်တယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒီလိုအသက်ဘေးကြုံခဲ့တဲ့ဟာတွေအများကြီးရှိတယ်ဒီတော်လိုင်းမှာကြတော့အခုကိုလွတ်မြောက်သွားပြီဆိုတော့လို့မသိဘူးကိုကတော့မသိဘူးဒါပေမဲ့ကိုလိုဖြစ်စဉ်မျိုးအလားတူကကိုနဲ့ဒီလိုတဆောင်နဲ့နေခဲ့ကြတယ်အတူတူနေခဲ့အတူတူစားခဲ့တဲ့အဲ့လိုမျိုးပေါ့နော်ကျွန်တော်အဲ့လိုမျိုးပြရတယ်အဲ့လိုမျိုးပြရအေးစိဘာမှမဖြစ်ပြဿနာမရှိဘူးမသေးလို့ရှိရင်ကျွန်တော်ဒါဆက်ပြောအဲ့တော့ဘယ်ရောက်သွားလဲအရင်ကအခုလက်ထိကျွန်တော်မသိဘူးစကားတွေပြောနိုင်သေးတယ်ဒီလိုအကြောင်းအရာတွေပြောနိုင်တယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ကျွန်တော်နဲ့အဲ့လိုဖြစ်စဉ်တူတူနေတူတူစားခဲ့ရတဲ့ရဲဘော်တွေကြာဆုံးသွားတယ်ကိုလက်အင်ကဆွန့်လွတ်လိုက်ရတဲ့ဟာတွေကတော့ကျွန်တော်ဘယ်ချိန်ပြန်ပြောကျွန်တော်မသိပေမဲ့ဟာတာမဖြစ်နိုင်ဘယ်တော့မှလည်းဖြစ်မှာဟုတ်
In a secluded jungle location close to Myanmar's border with Thailand, a group of journalists met this past August for several weeks of training. They had travelled there from across the country, from regions under the authority of Myanmar's military junta, as well as those controlled by rebel resistance forces. The training program is run by Myanmar's largest independent news outlet, Mizzima. It aims to equip students with the skills they'll need to do their jobs in one of the most dangerous places in the world to be a reporter.
This training school is in Karen State, an area controlled by revolutionary ethnic armed groups. We couldn't even dream of opening such a media institute in military-controlled areas. We want to generate a new generation of journalists. There are less of us since the coup. The students are from all over Myanmar, and when they finish, they will take this knowledge back to their hometowns.
I was an average student before the coup. I didn't know much about journalism. I became a journalist only after the coup. When I heard that Mizzima was running this training, I thought it would support my work. I've learned how to write stories, I've learned how to verify news. They also taught me how to question the government officer in my state, which is really useful. And all this training is happening with a diverse group of different ages and ethnicities. People I can learn from.
Life for journalists in Myanmar was turned upside down in February 2021, when a military coup abruptly ended the country's decade-long experiment with democracy. The night before the coup, the generals plotted a media blackout. They unplugged Mizzima TV and another channel, DVD, from the country's terrestrial TV carrier. After the coup was announced on February 1st, Mizzima's journalists, like many others, went into hiding. After thousands of people across Myanmar came out to resist the military, phones in hand, the generals began implementing an information and internet blackout. What the junta had not accounted for was the level of pushback they would receive from citizens and journalists.
The military ordered the media not to use the word coup, but journalists asserted that a coup is a coup and continued using that terminology. The military did not expect such a response. They tried to stop this by cutting off internet access, banning Facebook and shutting down the media. They took drastic measures like closing down bank accounts. Such actions are typically associated with authoritarian regimes like North Korea or Russia. The military believed that these measures would intimidate the population, but they underestimated both the resilience of the youth and the power of the media, which prevented the military from controlling the narrative.
I wrote editorials using the term coup. I didn't want to lie to the nation. The coup is illegal. It needed to be said. That's our job. As journalists, we had to consider whether we should leave the country or relocate to somewhere not under the control of the military. We expected our office would be raided, so everything important had been moved. When they got there, they found nothing, but they sealed off the office. After that, we asked our journalists to relocate either to liberated areas or neighboring countries. Some resigned. We didn't blame them. The work of journalism became a crime. We had to start from scratch. We didn't have editors. We didn't have an office. We went into the jungle and had no internet, no electricity.
7 of our journalists, including Mizzima's co-founder Daw Tindin Aung, were arrested. One of them was brutally tortured and one person is still in prison. Anyone involved with Mizzima can be indicted for working with us. At a minimum, they could face 2 to 3 years imprisonment. Their families and friends are also at risk. Shortly after the coup, we stopped including bylines with journalists' real identities and started using pseudonyms. And we cut any connections between journalists operating underground in Yangon and those elsewhere in the country. That way, if one journalist is apprehended, they won't be able to disclose any links with the other.
Media workers face considerable risks if caught by the military. Many have been imprisoned under sweeping anti-state and false news laws, and at least 3 journalists have been killed while in the army's custody. It's part of what the UN has called a scorched earth policy against the unprecedented wave of opposition the junta faces across the country. Over the past year, the military has suffered a series of defeats and lost huge swathes of territory to ethnic armed resistance groups. It's now thought the junta controls less than 100 of Myanmar's 330 townships. Thousands have been killed and millions displaced in the fighting. There is a sense that the balance of power is shifting in favor of Myanmar's ethnic minorities in ways that will be difficult for the military to undo. Under pressure, the generals have resorted to a time-worn tactic of ethno-nationalist messaging to try to shore up support among the Burman majority, crude narratives that are delivered in sophisticated ways.
The architect of this psychological warfare project is Colonel Zhou Zojie. He got a PhD from a Russian university and he's smart. His unit is very organized and very good at technology. You see their presence mainly on Telegram and X. We monitored more than 180 Telegram channels. They create messaging that non-Buddhist religions are dangerous, Muslims are dangerous, Christians are dangerous, that they are doing a defensive war to protect Buddhism from other ethnic groups. So they use propaganda based on maintaining the Burma ethnic identity to cover up their atrocities.
There are Telegram channels like Kote and Shweneja that distribute so much propaganda from the military. They'll never post about the violations of the military, only good things. The problem is, many people have subscribed to those Telegram channels and many people like them.
The Myanmar military is acting like any dictatorship would. However, they now have more tools at their disposal. Technology they've obtained from China to block VPNs, monitoring software and CCTV for surveillance. They spread misinformation very enthusiastically. This reflects their belief that if they spread enough falsehoods, those lies may eventually be accepted as truth. A similar thing happened after Egypt's military coup. By creating uncertainty, the military can claim that they are the only ones capable of solving problems and protecting the country.
One reason the military's propaganda has not proven decisive in Myanmar is because of a young generation that is more tech-savvy and better informed. News outlets like Mizzima have also played their role. Mizzima's evolution over the years has tracked the country's tumultuous history with military rule. The outlet was founded in exile in 1998 with bases in India and Thailand. It has grown from a news service that operated on fax machines to a network with more than 20 platforms. In 2011, when a democratic transition began in Myanmar, the two men leading Mizzima, Soe Myint and Sae Win, who are brothers, took the decision to return home. Now they find themselves back where they started, reporting either covertly in Myanmar or in exile from neighboring countries.
I learned many lessons from my life. In Buddhism, it is taught that nothing is permanent. In this ever-changing world, we must be innovative to move forward. I believe that struggling against what is wrong can lead to victory and pave the way for positive change. We had a taste of democracy that lasted only a few years, so we must make twice the effort to achieve lasting change. The dictatorship will eventually fall, but we need to prepare in advance for what comes after. Mizzima's mission is also part of the nation-building process. No matter what role we play, we want to collaborate and be involved in this journey together.
Wow, that was quite a run through the amazing history of Mizzima, and I think at this point, Soe Myint, you could maybe bring some insights into all these years you've been building it up, you and Sae Win and your team. So you said that 2025 will be a crucial year. Sorry. Mike, oh, sorry. You said 2025 will be a crucial year. So what do you think are the key issues that are going to occupy Mizzima? And also you face these terrible funding cuts, which a lot of people in this room are very aware of. You know, cuts from USAID and other things. So that's a big challenge as well.
Yeah, thanks. For we say that 2025 will be quite crucial because one, as you know, out of 330 townships in Myanmar, we can say that 240 townships are having active fightings currently, and more than half of the country's territories are not controlled by the Myanmar military. Yes, Myanmar military continues to control maybe half of the country's populations, particularly a large population centers like Yangon, Mandalay, Naypyidaw. But on the other hand, we have seen and we are going to see more this year, next year, the areas where ethnic minorities live have been liberated by the ethnic minority groups. If you look at the Arakan, for example, most of the areas in Arakan state have been liberated or have been controlled, have been conquered by the Arakan army. Similarly in Chin state, similarly in Karenni, similarly in Karen and others. So, of course, Myanmar military could still continue to have their control in the Burman areas. So we will see where a large part of the country's territories where ethnic minorities are there will be more and more to be governed and administered by the different resistant groups, different ethnic groups, while the Burman areas will likely to be tightly controlled by the Myanmar military. Lately, with more and more support from China and Russia coming to support the junta. On the other hand, as Myanmar military has said from the very beginning, when they stage coup, they will have elections which they could not have in the last 4 years, but recently during his visit to Belarus, the Commander-in-Chief Aung announced that the election will be held in either last week of December or in January 2026. So we will see some kind of elections to be held in the Burman areas, where Myanmar military will try to have legitimacy. Particularly, I mean, of course, they get the support from Belarus and Russia and China already, but they are also likely to seek legitimacy through their so-called or whatever the elections they have from ASEAN or some ASEAN countries, or even country like India. So that is very interesting and very crucial for the country future. First of all, where which direction Burma, Myanmar will be. Looks like there are different areas, 2-3 areas to be controlled by different set of the administrations and different set of the rules there. That is one. We don't know how things are going to actually fall into place. But for us as a journalist, we need to report them. We need to cover in these. We need to be on the ground. We need to cover whatever the elections, quote unquote, the if Myanmar militaries are going to have in the areas. So that is one I would like to say. So our job is to report these. It is for these are the very complex situation, very sort of difficult to understand sometimes for many outsiders, many people outside the country. But that is what our job is, to explain them, to report them, not only to the Burmese themselves, but also to the international community. That is what Mizzima and Mizzima team has been doing, and we will continue to do.
Right. And how about like this, these funding cuts? I mean, that's a big challenge for...
I mean, for Mizzima and for me particularly, this is not the first time we have faced sort of financial difficulties. If you look at the book, you will see, I mean, we have ups and downs. There were at least 3 times in the last 26 years, Mizzima faced a situation where we are about to be collapsed. But we survived. Of course, with the US funding cut, we lost about 20% of our annual budget this year, and we are not going to get additional funding from other donors and other countries. Of course, we also do have the continued support from other countries, thanks to these countries, like, for example, European Union and Scandinavian countries. But they, of course, cannot generally increase or fill up the gap that happened because of the US funding. So we will face more or less sort of difficulties that we had faced in the last 26 years, and but we are determined. I will just give you one example. In January, by the way, yesterday was 4th anniversary where Mizzima head office in Yangon was raided by Myanmar military. That was yesterday, 9 March 2021. Before coup, I will go back a little bit just to give you example how Burmese journalists are committed. I think is a story that I have tried to tell through the book. It was in January 2021, second week, third week, last week, we had a lot of internal quiet discussions among ourselves. Particularly the key leaders like editors level, head of department level, what to do? Because we knew that the coup was coming. We had a lot. We knew that Myanmar military will stage coup. So the discussion among ourselves was, what shall we do if and when the coup happened? That was in January 2021. All of us agree and decided that we will continue our work, whatever happened. Okay, we would not be able to operate from Yangon, Mandalay, or Naypyidaw, where we were operating. We had offices, but we decided to move from these city centers and offices, and we arrived in current state 1 week after coup. That's how we were sort of also prepared. And that's how Mizzima TV didn't have any day stop, and we were able to continue from the jungle in current state. That was 1 week after coup, while all these peaceful protests happened. So that commitment in January 2021, which I noticed, as I mentioned, I was having a cancer those days, but I was fully with my team, all our teams. I went along with them. And I saw the same commitment on 25th January 2025. That is 1 day after we got a letter from Internews, USAID, saying that whatever the funding that they are giving us will be stopped immediately. There was a kind of a no work order. So we had of course, we go back to our team. We have about 80 plus people working in different areas. So some are working in Yangon, Mandalay, some are working in Karen and Chen and Shan, some are working in Chiang Mai and Mesau, and some are working in India. So we had a big meeting, internet meeting online, and that day we told that everyone, we told about the situation to the team, and everyone said, majority of them said on record that whatever, even if they didn't get a salary, they didn't get the pay, they will continue their work. They will continue their work voluntarily. Of course, I cannot allow people to work without pay, that is one. But that was the commitment. We saw 4 years exile. It is very ironic because in January 2021, we faced a sort of a safety issue, and we faced the financial issue because Myanmar military later they seized the bank accounts, they seized the properties, they raided our office. But similarly, after 4 years, we were also having this issue of financial crisis. But we decided, today we decided, and we will continue without dropping a single people from team, because that is the commitment. And I think for me, with all this 26 years experience, we will survive. But of course, we need support. It is not that we don't. We need more support. So we are also looking and requesting the international community to try to support. I mean, this book, which I wrote, which I co-author with Indian author, we are selling the books to raise funds. This book sales will go to the salary of Mizzima people. That's how we are also going to survive. I believe we will survive. Gokumawan, you want to say something? You want to add something? Yeah, please. Yeah, thank you.
I will be very brief regarding the funding situation. Kusumi introduced me, and I worked for DVB for 25 years. And at the time of the coup, I was freelancer. I was doing something else. But after the coup, I have been working with Mizzima. So my experience, DVB is the largest exile media outlet at the time, consuming most donor funding, 3 to 4 million annually, US dollar. At the time, I mean, this is the second cycle of Myanmar exile media. And the first cycle was after 88 until 2011. So in the previous cycle, so I calculate overall donor funding for the exile media, it could be around 5 to 6 million US dollar annually. DVB consume most. And it already Mizzima at the time, handful of exile media outlets. So these media outlets can consume this available funding quite okay. But nowadays, after this military coup, we have over 100 media outlets. You might have a question, why you 100 media outlets? I have answer, but I will not go into detail on that. So available funding, maybe right after the international community expressed sympathy and support for Myanmar, because international community does have semi-democracy goes away. So the support is there. So all the exile media groups get emergency support, but it doesn't last long, because after the Afghanistan, and 1 year later, Ukraine invasion, Russia invasion of Ukraine, then Gaza. All these international fundings are going there. So even the international community share support and sympathies for Myanmar democracy movement, but it doesn't do the support. So available funding for media might not be more than what we have about 10 years back in the previous life cycle. So that is what Myanmar independent media is struggling for financially. There is no other way they can generate or income to cover their operation. When the Mizzima, DVB, Irrawaddy, they were in the country, they were generating commercial income. It is not possible now. So only they are relying on donor funding, but it is now in the latest development with the budget cut from USA, all are dying. I have been monitoring the media, Myanmar media situation as well. I used to say to my colleagues, to survive, some of them must die, unless everybody are equally suffering, and no one can survive financially. So this is a situation with the U.S. funding cut, and then it became worse.
Right. Thank you. So I'd just like to go way back in your life, Soe Myint. You know, I don't think many people know a hijacker, and it must be a defining moment of your life. But I just wonder, looking back, like, you know, do you have any regrets about anything?
My life, I mean, you will see, you will read in the book. I was born to a Buddhist Brahmin family, majority sort of a traditional family where I study hard, I work hard, and then when I was in the university, when I was 20 years old, I studied international relations. I wanted to become a diplomat. I wanted to become a military attaché. We were proud of Myanmar military those days. I was very proud of Myanmar military attaché. Then things went differently when the military stage coup after the students' protests in September 1988. In fact, that day, when military announced coup on 18 September 1988, I was taking photographs for the Students' Union magazine, photographs of these peaceful protests. I was a kind of I didn't have any journalism training because I was in the university. I didn't even didn't have the camera. I borrowed the camera from a friend or from but I was taking the photographs. The next day when I went out, I thought I saw the big military truck in the morning on 19 September 1988. I saw a big gun. I have never seen such a big gun. So I naturally took the photo. The flash was there. Then I was hit by the soldier nearby. I fell down. Then I was taken by the military to a truck because they were clearing the protest. They were clearing the one township after another that day. So I was taken. But ironically, what happened was I was in the truck where this big gun was also in the truck, military truck. I saw the whole day this military shooting from that truck, killing and shooting the peaceful protesters. I mean, you will. This was very painful for me, even to talk this after many years, because I, who wanted to be a part of the Myanmar military, who wanted to be a military attaché after my degree in university, I saw differently. I saw Myanmar military very differently that day, killing the peaceful protesters. They were shooting at the young people, young kids who were wearing basically school uniforms, white and green in our country. They just shoot. Whenever they shot people sitting in a tea shop, they just shoot first and they march and they clear the roads or the blocks. That's how I saw the whole day killing, sitting in the trunk. With my eyes, when we had some in the afternoon, they stop in a place, they eat, and good that they give me food. I was also allowed to eat with them. But so what the soldiers were saying basically that Amanda said, "Oh, Aung San Suu Kyi is a prostitute because she got married with foreigner." All these roadblocks, this Red Cross, all these are communists, because this is what the communists. So the soldiers were basically brainwashed. So that changed my life. That changed my. That day, luckily, I was released at that day late around 11 p.m. after they saw everything. Basically the officer told me that okay, you never took photo, took photo again, or didn't participate in the protest. But I decided that day to go to the jungle. That changed, and of course, like many others, Burmese university students those days, I also left Yangon after that and tried to have an armed struggle. And which we could not do. We had a series of trainings, but we could not have the armed struggle. So there was the time in 1990. First of all, in 1988, when there was a people's protest, students' protest in Yangon and in the country, BBC correspondent Christopher Kennis was there in Yangon. So we were able to know about what is happening through BBC Burmese. That was the only source at the time. But then after the coup, then we have Tiananmen Square in 1989. The international media forgot. The international media went to Tiananmen Square, covered the story. The international media forgot about Burma, Myanmar, or what was happening. Then we have a 1990 elections held by the Myanmar military. The military rejected, and military didn't hand over power. But the whole media was where? It was on the Gulf War, because Iraq Gulf War was coming up. So we sitting in the jungle trying to have an armed struggle, which we could not have. We didn't have weapons. So we had to do something. It was a desperate situation. We had to do something. So we, three of us, discussed among ourselves, basically to do some kind of drama so that we could draw the international attention, particularly attention from India, which is the largest democracy, neighboring country, attention to India. And we know that we could be shot at, we know that we could be having jail for life. It is okay. We decided to it was the Thai Airways flight from Yangon, from Bangkok to Yangon, and we diverted it to without any weapons. We didn't use any weapons. It was a political decision that we didn't use any weapons. Why? Because our commitment or our belief is that if you want to do for society or for country or for others, you have to sacrifice. And that sacrifice has meaning. That sacrifice has message. And that's why we could have been. I was just 21, and we were just probably the smallest in the plane. Someone just pushed me or pushed us aside. There were two of us. Another person could not come along because we didn't have enough money for air tickets. So why I'm saying all this is, no, I will not regret. I will never regret this. Right. We made a very political decision to have attention. That time, no media, and like today, there was no social media, no media. Myanmar military completely controlled the international community. Went to Gulf War for attention. So we need to draw back the international attention, and that was what I did during the 1988 uprising. Also, I was taking photographs during the protest. And I was arrested because I could not take even a photograph. For me, I was so naive probably that why I could not take a photograph. I didn't understand. I mean, that was how, because, and then we were lucky, of course we were lucky. We were lucky that Thai Airways didn't file any charge against us. We were lucky because the pilot, the crew, they were so sympathetic. The pilot was showing the photos and after this, let's have a dinner together. The air hostesses were taking photographs with us. In fact, air hostesses were carrying all this came into the code. These are public knowledge, but you will see some of this. I mentioned this in my first book that was published in 2003, Burma Find a Question of Democracy. That was my first book. I mentioned all this in details. If you also browse YouTube, Burmese hijacker, I talk all this detail in the YouTube, in the TEDx in Manila some years ago. So why I'm all saying this is we needed to do this at the time. We needed to draw international attention. We needed to do, by the way, in the last 26 years or 30 years, I'm doing the same thing. I continue to do the same thing now also. I'm drawing your attention. Mizzima is drawing your attention to the plight of the Burmese young people, Burmese people who are struggling for democracy and human rights. Of course, I don't think we need to do another hijacking this time because all media is there, there's social media is there. We didn't need to do, but we need your attention. You know, I made one word. We have stories to tell, but very few people listened. Very few people listened. And you are listening. We want people to listen our stories. And these are the people's life. These are the struggle. So for me, Guan, no. I continue to do what I'm doing.
Right.
From 1988, I have been doing, and I continue to do today. And Mizzima, that's what Mizzima is doing.
Yeah, it's amazing. So on that note, I think we'll turn to the floor. If anyone wants to ask any questions to Soe Myint, please identify yourself and the microphone's there.
Hello, I'm Soe Myint of Arise Network. I'm sure that everybody in the room would share my admiration with what you are doing in Myanmar in the face of adversity and tremendous difficulties. I mean, your bravery and professionality can be matched only by the courage of the military resistance. I would like to ask you, in the event of the latest statement made by the Burmese dictator about holding elections in January 2025, following his visit to Belarus, where he met his other dictator, Lukashenko, where he apparently bought more weapons, Russian weapons definitely, does it mean that the military is under pressure by the resistance? Because the military is not under pressure by China, Belarus, or Russia. There's no political pressure on them, and the West could not care less about what's happening in Burma today. So I'm asking you, to the knowledge, what is the state of the Tatmadaw at the moment? The Burmese army. Are they losing soldiers? We know. Many of them were killed. Many of them defected to the arms of the rebels. Many of them crossed over to Thailand. But are they really going to lose the war in 2025?
Yes, thank you. I would not say this lightly. Myanmar military is for the first time in history losing on the ground in the battles militarily. Of course, whether Myanmar militaries will be defeated by the different resistance groups together, that is one different question. But Myanmar military, as we know, as we have seen, as we have reported, has been losing militarily on the ground. Many people didn't think that Myanmar military can be fought against this way on the ground, because Myanmar military is known to have more than half a million soldiers. Myanmar military is known to have, Tamador, which I was around those days. Myanmar military fought for the independence under the leadership of General Aung San, father of Aung San Suu Kyi. But now we have seen Myanmar military losing on the ground, particularly Myanmar military is losing in the areas where minority nationalities are there. So that is why. Of course, the question is, okay, what will happen? Well, Myanmar military will be defeated. I don't think so. entirely. I think Myanmar military will remain in the Burman areas, at least in some Burman areas for next. Of course, they can be made because the people are fighting for the first time in history. Burman majority and ethnic minorities coming together, fighting against the Myanmar military together. Whether they have a common vision for future or not is a different question, which they don't have, which I think we all should need to support to have a future vision for all of them after the defeat of the military, after the collapse of the military. But definitely Myanmar military is being fought together jointly between Burmans and minority ethnic national for the first time in history, I would say. Of course, what we are going to see this year and next year before leading up to election is more brutalities, unfortunately. You know, with the drones coming from Russia, China, Turkey, Iran, to the Myanmar military, we have seen, because we are reporting this on the daily basis, we have seen increased number of casualties, civilians. Myanmar military, okay, they try to bomb the camps, but usually they miss the camps. They actually target the civilians. They target the hospitals. They target the schools. That's what is happening in our areas, wherever we are reporting. Why? Because they want to put fear to the civilians, the pressure of the people to the resistance forces. So I think, unfortunately, sadly, we are going to see more brutalities. Already 20 million plus Burmese are in need of just basic food and medicines, because Myanmar doesn't allow any food and medicines to the area like Chin or other countries. So we have to seek. So India, for example, with all this difficult work, India started giving some medicines and rice to the populations next door. Thailand started giving some medicines and food to the people across the border. We need more support, because there will be more casualties. There will be more people going to need this big fundamental like food and medicines. That is the tragedy where we are. I think, again, we need to report. We need international community. Okay, we know that there's no one vision for these resistance forces, but we should support them to have that vision. We should help them, because they are fighting against one of the most brutal regimes in the world. That is not just in the last 4 years. They have been fighting for 7 decades.
Thank you. Yes?
Thank you for the interesting image of the Thai Air Hostess posing with the hijacker. That's kind of funny, actually. That was good. And in the report that we saw that was filed in the jungle talking about jokes, all right, that made me think, because in 2021, when that incredible viral video came out, the lady in Napier doll dancing, and then the coup happened. I was in Southwest Colombia covering politics, and I was still getting stuff on my feed from Myanmar, and I don't follow anything from Myanmar. One of the things I saw, though, was "We have oil" was written on the street, and it was picked up by Google Maps. Like, how do kind of jokes like that, going back to the report that was filed, how do jokes like that inform the training school that you have for new journalists and how they file reports?
In the Burmese societies, in different communities, I think this art, this jokes, these sayings, writings, literature, they are very rich, very rich. They have been, of course, successive Myanmar military try to repress them, particularly against the ethnic minorities, literatures, jokes, writings, sayings, and also the Burmans, like, for example, independent media. So we try to report them. I think it's very difficult also to say, because first of all, it is in Burmese language and ethnic languages, and we don't naturally have capacity to put them into English I mean, generally much, but we do try whatever with our capacity is. But it is very difficult for all of us to tell this to international. But we try to propose them, put them in our reports or in our writings, in our coverage. If you are asking this.
So levity wins in the end, or has power compared to the Russian stuff that they're posting, I guess. This is really fun with the volume here. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
And could you identify yourself, please?
No, you go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Nick Kipley. I just moved here and I don't have a job, so I used to write for the Bogota Post, the Los Angeles Daily Journal, and if anyone's hiring, I'll be at the bar.
Should I just talk loud because the microphone goes in and out?
Sure. Sure.
So, hi, I'm Matt Peets. I worked on the Civil Society Media Project 1 and 2 with Soe Myint and Soe Myint. It's great to see you guys. Hello.
Okay, good to see you.
I'm sorry I'm in a crazy cat t-shirt. I didn't know this was happening until just before it started. And thank you for your coverage of the Burma Diversity and Inclusion Scholarship Program being canceled in Mizzima. Thanks for covering that so well. I've been working on that lately. My question is about the future that you were talking about, the post-coup democratic future, which even though it's difficult to be optimistic about anything in this world, we still have to hope that it's coming. We know from the NLD period that electoral democracy in Myanmar does not necessarily mean true freedom of speech and journalism, with prosecutions under Article 66 doubling under NLD from the period before. One of the challenges, there are many challenges, right, to the post-coup federal democracy that will serve everyone and allow for inclusive participation. But what do you think needs to happen or can be done to prepare the way to make sure that freedom of speech and reporting remains after the transition back to democracy?
Thank you. Thank you, Matt. Oh, it's a really pleasure meeting you. I was not expecting. Thank you. Thank you for coming. You know, for us, and I think you will agree, there are many things which are not in our control, in one's control, I mean anyone's control. But there are some things that we can do. We can do ourselves, by ourselves, or we can do together. You know, that is exactly what Mizzima Television, for example, to give you. I think the program that you supported before and during the elections, like youth under 20 dialogue, that youth television program, you remember, you supported us. So what we are able to, what we should be do, what we can do is we create the platforms, we create the space, we expand the space so that all these diverse ideas, diverse different voices, different aspirations coming together or talk about. I think that is what we can do. We are, for example, Mizzima TV, as you know, we are airing the voices of Women's League of Burma. We are airing the discussion of youth or organization. We are airing even VOA from VOA Burmese is our partner. Every day we have Mizzima TV has a VOA from Washington DC. We are airing BBC Burmese live from London. So I think that is what we could do. We can create the space, we can expand the space so that all these diverse communities, diverse different views and ideas at least talk about and discussed. And look at for the future, how future can be formulated. Burma, Myanmar is one of the very complex situations in the war. I mean, it is, again, it doesn't start from, didn't start from 4 years ago. It has been there for more than 7 decades, probably even before the independence. Burma, Myanmar, by the way, was never one united all throughout. And so we need to find ways, and so that is what I think we should do. We should, but the one thing which I learned, you might agree or not, all of us are doing a great job. I think Mizzima is doing, DVB is doing great job, you are doing great job. But I think we need to now more focus also, work together, collaborate, coordinate, because a lot of, I think still a lot of things can be done for coordination and collaboration, so that it is affected, and then particularly the resources are becoming scarce, funding will be reduced. So then what that means is we have to push whatever we have together and work. So I think that's what, okay, the future is not, I mean, of course, we contribute to the future. We support to the future, but we don't know exactly what the future looks like.
Right.
But when we build and when we contribute, I think we are sort of doing something effectively for that particular future. That's how I see. And that's what Mizzima is doing. Mizzima have a like, for example, apart from television, we have FM stations working with ethnic media outlets in Chen. So these are like 100-kilometer radius, 200-kilometer radius, having the local prices. Local prices. Either you talk of one pre-warning of the airstrikes, or you talk about commodity prices, or you talk about the news and information through these FM stations. Right. By working between Mizzima and Chen Media, for example, that contributes for future Myanmar. That's how we see, and we should be a part of this. That is why we call it nation building. We should be a part of the nation building.
Right. Thank you. And final question.
Hello, Tom, FCC associate. My question is in regards to past history with Mizzima and the Ayawadi. Given the recent U.S. aid cuts, 20%, as you said, is there now greater collaboration between independent media outlets in Myanmar, outside of Myanmar, and so on? And in particular, is there a strategy for securing funding in a united front?
Yes, that is like currently it is really like a sort of a regular topic and regular issue that we have been discussing among ourselves. Recently we had a meeting. I mean, there were many meetings, but one meeting which we had was in the Chiang Mai University between TVB, Ayawadi, Myanmar Now, Mizzima, and Burma News International. I mean, we sort of gather whatever we could do in a short period. We gather, we discuss about this, what to do as our common strategy, collective finding ways and means to sustain ourselves. One of them is, yes, we need to continue collectively, continue to appeal collectively to the international community, even the United States. Yes, United States has this cut, but United States has been a friend, a strategic partner. It is not just charity. It's a strategic partner. Why we are saying strategic partner? Either when we talk about debunking disinformation, misinformation, that's what done by the China CCP, or what the Myanmar military does. So we have been strategically to working together. So I think we will continue that collective approach to appeal to international community, including to the United States. That is one we will continue to do. Another one is we also try to sort of, we say it's self-generated revenues, try to, and that's again, like whatever we can sell, we can do fundraising, we can do source, sort of a crowdfunding. That's what we will do together. And also, third one is we will also tell the governments to continue to support, to focus on the core media support. Because as particularly in the last 4 years, there are a lot of activities, many activities, which are very great, which were there, but now we also need core support to pay salaries to because these are the young people, these are the people who have given their life, but at least they deserve salaries, at least they deserve pay skills. I think that's what we are trying together, and we will continue to do so. But again, I must stress, yes, Myanmar Media or Mizzima or individual journalists, they will do their work, I'm sure. But with your support, I think there is a difference. There will be a difference. Without your support, there will be a difference. They will have lots of pains and sufferings, and we don't want to see more sufferings than what it was already. And that's why we appeal your support, individually, collectively, and rest assure you that we will also be working collectively. We will be coordinating more and more. We will be transparent of what we do and how we are going to do.
Thank you very much, Soe Myint. So I think on that note, we'll close it off now. There's still some tea leaf salad. And please buy a book. It's only 350 baht.
$10.
Huh?
$10.
$10. So thank you very much for coming, and we'll hope to see you again.
Thank you. Thank you, Gwen. Thank you particularly, Gwen, for having this. We really appreciate.
It's great.
And thank you, everyone, every one of you, for having here, for coming here, for taking your time. We know everything needs efforts, and thank you so much for coming and for being with us. And we will march forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's really good. Excellent.
Very impressive. How successful is the force of recruitment?